Welcome to episode 32 of Coffee and Co-Read, your source for all things literary with Catherine.
And Kristen, where we believe there's nothing better than a hot coffee and an awesome book. Join us for our virtual book club where we take one book a month and dive into all the drama, adventure, and romance we can find. Hi, Catherine.
Hey, Kristen. So I guess this week is a bit different for us, or this month, really. Usually with the books that, well, at least the books we've read so far, we've already read them before. And for almost all of them, we've finished like the whole series, other than Bitten for me, but that's okay. But yeah, so it's a bit different to go into a book kind of blind, because especially with like our book club type format, like I like reading the book beforehand so that we know that we like it kind of before we ask people to read along with us or to listen to us talk about it. So,
yeah. And sort of like the whole premise, the whole reason you and I even started this was because there were so many books that we liked and liked so much, but like we couldn't find people to talk about them with except for each other. So this was sort of our way of like expanding the dialogue into books that we like.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So I don't know if that makes us like not adventurous.
Well, there's just so many books that we love and want to talk about. And like, if there were more podcasts about them, we would listen to them instead of, well, maybe not instead of doing our own, probably both. But yeah, like it is what it is. I think we do still read other books. It's just, and then sometimes we read other books and we're like, oh my God, we should do this one. So
yeah. But there's such a backlog. Like we've been like, that's like why we've done older books like Bitten and like Vampire Academy. Like we've done those books because we read them ages ago, but we liked them so much that we wanted to talk about them.
Mm-hmm.
Not that there aren't books out now that we don't want to talk about. There are, but you know, there's an element of nostalgia and like finally being able to recognize like certain books that were not super mainstream.
Mm-hmm.
And like, you know, just even like Vampire Academy, like not saying that it wasn't mainstream, but like that's only now getting a TV show, and that book is 20 years old. It got a movie, but it was not a great movie.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what I mean? It's like it's nice that movies that books that, you know, we read ages ago are finally getting recognition.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, for Vampire Academy, we really wanted to read it too because we were so excited for the show coming out and we wanted to like be ready. So
yeah,
there are a few like that. That's why we read Shadow and Bone, really, is because that show came out too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But yeah, so you're right. Brand new book that neither of us had really heard of before.
Mm-hmm.
The reason that we sort of picked this book is mainly because we wanted to do something spooky because it is October. So it's like spooky season, and you know, for some people they're celebrating Halloween. Other people, maybe like Samhain is around the corner, or like the Day of the Dead, or whatever floats your boat. So like we wanted to pick a book that was not like scary, because
it's not.
I'm not super into like really scary stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but we wanted to pick something with a spooky theme.
Yeah, definitely.
And we wanted, like, we still want to do our romance books because that's what we're about. We love a good romance and a happily ever after, an HEA. Because we have been doing primarily fantasy lately. And this one is maybe not quite not fantasy. It's a little fantasy-esque, but it's more romancy over anything else.
Yeah, and I feel like some of the other books do have romance as well, but they are majority fantasy, and this is kind
Yeah.
of a bit of a flip, but like we love fantasy. That's like really our go-to genre.
Hmm.
We love the romance, but a great world building and good fantasy.
Yeah.
We want the romance thrown into that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. So I guess we always kind of talk about how we found the book. Like we said, we were kind of looking for a spooky season book, um, more so fall book as opposed to actual horror, um, just to kind of meet what we like. Um, and we had a look on, Instagram, trying to find some stuff, but there wasn't as much yet, probably because it is early in fall now. It barely started, even though I'm not gonna lie, I'm like pretty basic white girl. I love fall. I love Halloween. I like buy Halloween decorations and then put them in my house as real decorations year round. Um so this is my season, like many white girls. Um we might have to have a talk about pumpkin spice lattes at some point because we have opinions having worked there and made them. Not there, but an equivalent place. But yeah, so we were looking for obviously a spooky season book, and I literally think it just ended up being a Google a romance fall themed book, and this one popped up, and it sounded interesting. So we were like, we both read the synopsis, and we're like, why not? Let's just do it. And that kind of brings us to where we are.
Hmm. So we're just going to get into it. Just a heads up, we are not a spoiler-free zone, and things could get a little saucy. Um, so just a little bit about our book. So it is called The Ex Hex by Erin Sterling. Erin Sterling is an American writer who wrote The Ex Hex. And in September, she actually released book 2, The Kiss Curse. She also writes as Rachel Hawkins and is a New York Times bestselling author of multiple books for young readers, including the popular Rebel Belle series, the Royals trilogy, and the Hex Hall series, none of which I have read yet.
Me neither. And yeah, I didn't actually when we first found the book, I didn't realize that she wrote under 2 names. So I'm
Yeah.
actually not sure what her name is. But I'd probably be interested in trying them out, the other books. I'd have to see what they were about. So,
Yeah, they sound like they could be good.
yeah. So the actual book, The Ex Hex, is a book about exes, if you didn't guess that. So Vivian Jones and Rhys Penhallow had a cute summer fling when she was 19, but Rhys kind of led her on a bit, and in a drunken teenage heartbroken moment, Vivian and her cousin Gwyn jokingly curse Rhys. But did the goddess realize it was a joke?
Interesting. I would like, so this book is obviously, so it's about exes and also about witches. So
Mm-hmm.
that's sort of, and like it's set during, I think, mainly the month of October,
Yeah.
which is sort of why we picked it for our October book.
Yeah.
Um, I will say, like, it's a very fast read for, like, it's a regular size book, but it reads fast,
Yeah. I'll agree with that.
which is nice. Like, it's, I don't know. I liked that about it. Like, I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
something I enjoyed.
Yeah. It's nice when you're reading a book and you get through it like it's an easy, not an easy read, but it's very, it flows, it flows well, and you
Yeah.
get through it fast.
And it's decently fast paced. Like, there's not a lot of
Hmm.
filler. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, everything has a purpose.
Yeah.
It's not a super suspenseful book though.
No, but I do feel like that's like kind of more common for romance first books. Like where it is, I would I would say squarely in the romance genre with like some fantasy elements. Um I kind of think it's on par, which like we say a lot of the time, we do love ourselves a good romance book, so.
Hmm. It definitely brings me down the Nora Roberts road.
Yeah, you did say that, and I have only read one of her books. And there was
I
very
know.
little
I need
romance in it.
Listen, let me pick out something different for you.
Yes, I'm going to read the second one in the series because I do enjoy the story, and it did end on a cliffhanger, which I was like, what the hell? Like, why? So I will read the second one once I can get it from Libby, but
Yeah.
um
It's guys, we're talking about Nora Roberts' new series. I think the
mhm.
first book is called The Awakening.
Yeah.
So,
Is the second one The Becoming maybe or something like that?
yeah, I think so.
Did you read that one yet?
I did.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a long wait on the good old Libby app.
Mm.
Many people like Nora Roberts.
Yep, she's a popular one.
Mhm.
Um, I guys, I went to the bookstore the other day because they had Teacher Appreciation Day. So I got 25% off my entire purchase. So I used that opportunity and I bought 10 new books. Uh, I just, I have a problem.
I think we all do, and that's why we're here.
Yeah, but two of them were Nora Roberts books.
Nice.
Anyway, um, back to the Ex Hex. So, this week is week 1. Obviously, we are going through chapters 1 to 8 today. So that includes a prologue as well. So there's a short little prologue. The very first line of this book is probably my favorite line to ever be a first line. It's amazing. The first line is, "Never mix vodka and witchcraft." And I'm just here for it. I feel like it sets the tone for the whole book.
It really does. I love when a book has a great first line. Like there's a
Yeah.
few that like you remember.
Yeah. And it's like, it's got a sense of humor. Like, I like it. Anyway. So we meet our main character, whose name is Vivi, as she is normally called. Uh, and we first meet Vivi, and she has her aunt Elaine. And I guess I guess she's thinking about her aunt Elaine, um, who owns a like witchy sort of trinket store called Something Wicked. So they sell like wands and crystals and like geodes and sort of like one of those new age store.
Hmm.
Um, and I also love the name of that store.
Yeah.
Something Wicked. I would totally open that. I don't know what I would sell. Probably not witchy things because I'm not a witch, but
Yeah.
um, I would totally own a store called Something Wicked. Like, it's just amazing.
I agree.
Um, and it's in Graves Glen, Georgia. Never heard of it.
Oh yeah,
Don't
I don't
know.
know if it exists.
Don't know if
I
it's a real place.
I kind of assume it's not, but I don't know.
I mean, anybody from Georgia want to chime in?
Yeah.
Now would be the time. um, but essentially, we come upon Vivi in this prologue. She is drinking vodka in the tub because some dude broke her heart, and she's just upset.
Makes
um,
sense.
and sort of the first hint of magic that we get in this book is her using her powers to conjure his cologne smell to the room. And my immediate response to that is yikes.
Yeah. I guess I started reading this and I realized it was a prologue, but I was like, ah shit. Our characters this young, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to like this book. Because like we said, we've never read it before.
Yeah.
I was very worried that it was going to be like, because I think it does say early on that she's 19. Yeah. Which is also, she's below the drinking age. I don't know if it's different for witches. She's not below the drinking age for Canada.
No.
But then I was like, wait, isn't Georgia's in the States, right?
In
like
the United States, yeah.
Yeah. That's, anyway, I just found that odd to write a book about a 19-year-old drinking vodka when you're not in a place where it's legal. But
I mean,
they do. I understand that they do.
Who actually waits until they're 21 to drink alcohol? Like the amount of, I'm sure there are lots of you really good law-abiding citizens out there. I didn't wait for the legal drinking age. I know
Which
you
is younger than 21. Yeah.
I know you definitely didn't.
No, I did not.
I remember.
Yes.
So, I mean,
well, you knew me when you were over the drinking age and I was under the drinking age.
Yes, I did. And I'm pretty sure I helped you achieve some of those
goals.
So I'm also a teacher, and I've heard kids talking about the ragers that they go to on the weekends. So like,
oh my God, yeah.
You know,
we walked home the other night from my sister's house and there was a bunch of teenagers having a field party. So
oh my God.
We were walking. They were like, "Are you going to the field party?" And we were like, "We're trying to go home. Please don't talk to us. We're adults. Don't talk to us."
Oh my God. I don't know if this happens anywhere else. In our area, we have our high schools have things called field parties where essentially a bunch of teenagers start a fire in the middle of a field, like
in the middle of the woods.
In the middle of the woods, and all get drunk. And like the whole school goes and they all get drunk. I remember going to one when I was a teenager. I got lost in the woods. I hit a tree, smacked me in the face, and my nose ring popped out. And that was because somebody yelled, "Cops, cops!" And then everybody like scattered into the woods.
Oh my God. Were there even cops?
No.
Oh. That's funny.
Yeah. And then like I remember we had to walk like 5 kilometers, which is like, I don't know, 2-point-something miles.
3 miles, isn't it?
3 miles-ish. Yeah. Because a cab driver, like we couldn't get a cab. You know.
Fun times.
I know. I didn't like the outdoors very much, so like field parties were few and far between for me.
That makes sense.
But for a lot of my classmates, there were field parties like every other weekend.
Yeah.
I don't understand why the cops never found out. Like no one was secretive about it.
No, and that's like the one that was near my sister's house. Is like you could hear the music pounding in her house. And like why didn't anyone else call the cops? Are the cops just too lazy to go out into the woods? Like, I understand.
That's what I'm wondering. Like, maybe they just don't have the capacity to like trek into the woods. And like, what? There's gonna be like what, 2 or 3 dudes? How are they gonna catch them all?
Well, yeah. What are they gonna do if they gotta walk into the woods? Are they like, yeah?
Teens are like Pokemon.
They're gonna scatter.
You gotta catch them all.
They fled. Yeah. I don't really know if there's a protocol for that. For catching kids in fields drinking. Anyway. I also feel like I'd just be too lazy to go in and try to catch them. So
yeah. Anyway. But yeah, so I guess she's feeling nostalgic, so she's like using magic to conjure the smell of his cologne. Yeah, it was just a bit of a sort of like, oh, I know you're a teenager, but it's a little bit much.
Yeah.
And then especially when we hear about how they broke up. Anyway. Another thing that I found weird is she's in her cousin's bathtub.
I think does she not live with them at this point?
I don't know. But it said she was in her cousin's bathtub.
Yeah. I thought that she lived with them at this point. So I don't know
Maybe she,
why. But I think it was more of a more recent thing moving in with them, maybe for college type thing. But I don't know. So it's not like
anyway.
her home, it's her cousin's home.
No,
It's
no,
like,
but
but
it might indeed be her home, but I think they have their own bathroom. Like I think Gwen
oh.
has an ensuite, and I
Oh
think
yeah.
she's using Gwen's bathtub.
Uh, I don't know. I don't find it that weird cuz like if you're hanging out with somebody but sad and want to take a bath just with a little distance.
Anyway,
Why not?
so
Oh,
her
wait.
what?
Sorry. She's in the dorms. I'm pretty sure. Or is he? Hmm.
I don't know.
Anyway, this is why we usually read books that we've read before because we know more things.
Yeah.
But here we are.
Anyway, so her cousin Gwyn sort of yells at her to get over it. It's like, you guys are only together for 3 months. And I low-key love it.
Yeah.
Like, this is, it's just peak. Like, it's what I would like to do.
Yeah. Well, it's exactly what one of us would say to the other.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway.
Come on, man.
It's like, come on, relax. We finally find out the guy's name is Rhys Penhallow. It's such a witchy name.
It is.
I love that his name is Rhys.
I know, 2 Rhyses and 2 books. I didn't actually know his name when we picked this book until we started reading it, which is kind of funny.
Serendipitous.
Ooh.
So we also learned that his family pretty much founded the town. But he's also a witch. So there's just witches everywhere.
Yeah.
Vivi is sort of like new-ish to the witch thing. Apparently her mom kept it a secret, and Vivi only found out when her mom died, and she had to move in with Aunt Eileen, who is an openly practicing witch, as is Gwyn, her daughter. So essentially it's like Harry Potter, but worse.
Yes.
Because we're assuming, like a teenager at least when she found out.
Yeah. It kind of seems like she might have been like 16 or 17, but I don't know.
And can you imagine like your mother dying, which is so upsetting and sad, and then you find out you've got magic, which is like, like, I don't know. I'd just be so conflicted.
Yeah. I feel like, and she kind of talks about it a bit later, but like she has to know that there's something weird about her.
Yeah. Anyway, so she met Rhys. She's like thinking about their beautiful 3 months together. So she met him, and like this is such a 19, like a teenagery thing to do, isn't it? To be like,
Yeah.
oh my god, my life is over after like a 3-month relationship.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, so she met Rhys at the Solstice Revel.
Ooh.
I wish it sounds nice. I wish we had one.
Same.
And apparently he was handsome and charming, and he had a hot Welsh accent. And I want to stop the book right here. Because you and I both watch a lot of like British panel shows.
Yeah.
And they make fun of the Welsh a lot. Like if anybody is Welsh, they make fun of them for the accent and for other things. I just like, not that I don't think the Welsh accent is an attractive one. It's just not one of the ones that come up like, it's not one of the, what's a hot accent? Welsh.
Australian.
You know what I mean? Yeah, in real life, yes.
Yes.
But like,
yeah.
I mean, like if I'm thinking about a hot accent, my mind does not immediately go to Welsh.
Yes. No, I know what you mean.
I didn't realize Welsh was on that scale of hot accents.
I kind of feel like she chose Welsh because I think Rhys is a Welsh name or something like that. So maybe she wanted to name him Rhys and then was like, we'll choose. Maybe? I'm not 100% sure, but...
There's a lot of Welshness, I think, that goes on throughout this book, and we're going to butcher some names. We
Probably.
apologize to anybody. I can say with certainty, while I didn't know that Welsh was considered a hot accent, I do know one that's not. Ours. So,
yes.
you know,
yeah,
we are fully aware. Anyway, so she gets out of the tub and she goes to the living room and her cousin's like, let's curse him. And Vivi's sort of like, she doesn't really want to, even though she's the one that called it off. So like her cousin is like, he's a jackass. Let's curse him. And she's like, well, I'm the one that called it off. He didn't break up with her. She broke up with him.
She's like, what?
Yeah. But it was because while he was in town seducing her, I know. His dad had organized his betrothal to another witch in Wales. And this is another part that confused me. So apparently Vivi said that he had to go home to call off his betrothal. And then she gets all mad at him, throws pants at him, and like storms off and says, we're over. You're the scum of the earth. I hate your guts. If he's going back to call off a betrothal, wouldn't that make you happy?
Yeah. And it's like, I feel like he even said that it was like an arranged marriage type situation.
Yeah.
I don't really understand like what she wanted him to do differently. Like, yes, sure, I get she probably wanted him to be upfront about it.
Yeah.
But when you're just making out with somebody after meeting them, you're not going to drop it in there because it's not really relevant. You're just like, oh, this is a one night thing or whatever. And then if it keeps going, then when are you supposed to tell them? Like, I get how he fell into the trap of not telling her.
Yeah.
But also, I don't think he was in the wrong, really.
No. Anyway, I feel like she got real mad real fast, didn't talk it out. But again, 19 years old, we make these mistakes.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? We're impulsive creatures. So initially Vivi is like, no, we can't curse him. That's like serious bad magic. But I guess Gwyn wants to curse him with funny things. So not do an actual curse, just do like a cathartic, like pretend curse. So they curse him with things like never being able to find the clitoris again, which
That'd
is
be bad.
But not even bad for him. Who cares if he doesn't find it?
Well, he probably won't find somebody to love him.
I guess. That he no longer has access to Vivi's vagina.
Which,
I mean,
just don't let him.
That's a consent issue right there. They also do something. They say something about like his hair doing that thing. Like, anyway. But after they do like this whole thing and they're like yelling funny curses, she gets serious at the end and she just says she curses him. Like, I curse you, Rhys Penhallow. And all of a sudden the room goes haywire, like windows slam, one of the candles like shoots right up and it's like a big huge pillar of flame, and like the power goes like flicky, and it's just like, it's obvious that some magic happened.
Yes.
However, they assume, because they're 19-year-old girls, that, it must have just been a power surge because they didn't do any real hex magic, because I guess there are spells and incantations associated with that. And the candle is from Bath and Body Works. So obviously it couldn't do any real magic.
Yeah.
And I
Which
feel like this is another, like, really, a candle makes a huge pillar of flame and you think that's a power surge? Like, come on,
yeah,
girls. Come on.
you know better than that.
They do know better. Anyway, this is where we leave the girls. And that is the end of our prologue. And then we have a 9-year time jump.
Which I'm here for.
Yeah. And I will say a cute thing that this book does is it does switch back and forth POVs between Rhys and Vivi.
Mm-hmm.
So, sometimes it might sound weird. Like I'm saying, oh, well, she said this. Oh, but then he did this. It's because it does switch back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously Rhys is 9 years later and he's in Wales. I think he was originally only 1 year older than her. So I think he was about 20 when they got together first, which would make him about 29 right now.
Mm-hmm.
He's obviously in Wales and he's heading towards a pub in the pouring rain. It's like the weather is bad. And he reveals that the pub belongs to his brother, Llewellyn. I don't know if I'm saying it right. It's Llewellyn. I'm saying it's Llewellyn.
Yeah.
So Rhys sort of says that he falls somewhere in between his two brothers in terms of loyalty to his father and his town. Llewellyn stayed close. Like, he runs the pub. His dad lives in the town. Like, that's their sort of familial, like, neighborhood place. Bowen is in the middle of Snowdonia. Like, I'm assuming that's sarcasm. Like,
yeah.
I'm assuming Snowdonia is not like
It's not a real place.
Well, I know it's not a real place. I'm assuming it's not like a made up, like a made up country or something for the book. I'm assuming it's just, he's all the way up in like Snowdonia. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. I think you're right. Yeah.
Like, and apparently he's been there for a few years. So I think he considers him in the middle. So like Llewellyn stayed closest to home and is the most loyal to his father. Bowen, he hasn't seen him in years. He tends to stay up in that, I don't know, the Arctic, wherever he is. So he is the least loyal. So Rhys is somewhere in the middle. He said that he's been gone for a few months, doesn't say where he went, and that he missed home. Like, he likes Wales and he missed his homeland.
Mm-hmm.
He goes in, and Llewellyn we henceforth name Wells. That's
easier. Thank you.
Way easier. That's what Rhys calls him.
Mm-hmm.
Rhys calls him Wells. We sort of get the hint that Wells is the favorite son.
Yeah.
So he's the most loyal and he's the favorite. I wonder if those two are related.
Oh, I can only imagine.
Initially, it doesn't seem like they have a great relationship. Like, Wells seems like pretty stern.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Rhys sort of says like he's the most like their father. So it doesn't seem like they have a fantastic relationship. They're not like super close brothers, but anyway. We learned that Rhys has a travel company.
Interesting.
Yes, and he just came back from New Zealand.
Ooh.
I know. Sounds like a nice, relaxing travel getaway, I guess. I've never been. I know you have.
Yes.
So he talks about how, like, obviously his career is not magic based. Like, he's not really doing anything. He's not involved with his family business or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So like magic obviously plays a part in his life, but it's not everything in his life. But he says so like his travel company is catered towards like non-magic people, muggles. So he plans them great trips and he uses his magic to sort of make sure there are no delayed flights, nobody gets food poisoning. So like his company has a really awesome reputation.
Which would be awesome. Like,
I know.
I want that for my trip planners to
know.
have some magic to make
I know.
everything
Or
go
like,
right.
yeah, to make sure you're not like sitting on the tarmac for hours and hours due to like, you know, mechanical issues or something like that.
De-icing the plane in the
Yeah.
middle of, what was it? Fucking June? Like, ugh. God
Yeah.
damn.
Yeah. His brother essentially tells him that the storm is happening right now because his dad is being a cranky pants. So essentially, the big storm raging outside, all the rain, is his dad having a hissy fit and being
Which is
cranky.
wild.
I know, it's like, can you not like, can you just regulate your own emotions, please?
You'd think it wouldn't be that hard, but
Well,
it
like,
is.
my kindergartner is learning self-regulation in school.
Yeah.
Like, why can't this like 60-odd-year-old man do it? Anyway. So I guess Rhys is sort of like, and Wells is actually like, well, what did you do? Because it's raining and it's a storm and it's cut our father. So what did you do?
Yeah.
So I guess he's like, you got to go on up to the house. So he leaves the bar like immediately. Like he gets there, he's there for like 5 minutes and has to leave again, and walks up to their manor house. And he says it's like really sprawling and really dark and moody and edgy and like gothy. It's like your stereotypical witch house, I think, like gothic witchy
Yeah.
house. He says he hates it.
Which is cute.
Yeah. I guess he would like something a bit like lighter and happier. He said his mom died when he was just a few months old. So like, I wonder if that's part of the reason why his dad's a dick.
Well, yeah, but he's also 29. So, like, and I know grief doesn't really leave, but you can learn to not be a dick over 29 years.
You can, that's true.
in case you didn't realize.
I mean, I've learned.
Yes.
So I guess his dad sort of like just doesn't approve of him and thinks that he's wasting his talent as a warlock. Those were his dad's words. Even though his dad's like, or even though Rhys is like, Dad, we don't use warlock anymore. Everybody is a witch now. And like, I sort of relate it to like when you're trying to teach an older person like gender pronouns.
Exactly.
Like,
yeah.
It's they, them now, not, you know what I mean? And they're like, what?
Yeah, exactly that.
That's what it feels like to me, except it's witches and warlocks.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting though. Like, I don't know why they're all just witches now. Like, why would that change? But
I also want to know the difference. What's the difference between a wizard and a warlock?
Just in general, I don't know.
Because Harry Potter is a wizard.
Yes.
You're a wizard, Harry.
Is it the difference between a Welsh and...
I don't know. But anyway. So his dad says, like, you need to be a productive member of this family. And, like, they really do not have a good relationship at all.
No.
He still, like, seems to want his dad's approval a little bit. But, like, his dad is a straight up dick.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah, his dad wants him to be productive. So he's like, I'm sending you back to Graves Glen. And of course,
what?
I know. Well, I mean, we need to have a story.
Do we?
So, of course, that made Rhys think of Vivienne, as he calls her. He doesn't call her Vivi ever. He calls her Vivienne. And how she tasted. Ooh. Like, but I wonder,
I don't actually.
I wonder what his term for like what he means when he says tasted. Just like kissing, or are we talking like
her vagina? Is that what you're trying to say? Are we talking her vagina? Yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
I'm like, I'm just putting it out there. Like, he literally just said, I thought of Vivian and how she tasted. So,
Yeah.
like, and we'll see later on, he is quite the eager beaver.
Because beaver is another word for vagina.
So it is. Yeah, so I guess his dad is sending him back to take part in the Founders Day celebration. And every 25 years, a Penhallow has to go back to Graves Glen to strengthen the ley lines. So apparently Graves Glen is a spot in Georgia that has a weak veil and strong magic. So they have ley lines there that I guess help. I don't even know. Like, it doesn't really explain.
It really doesn't. I guess, like, well, it doesn't really explain magic super well in this world, but it seems like it's very related to the earth, for a better word, or like maybe you're more powerful when you're near this place, is kind of how it seems.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, I guess he thinks about how, like, that summer, his whole reason he went back is because he took some courses at the local college. The local college is a human college, but it also teaches magic to witches in secret. It's like a secret secondary campus, like an adult Hogwarts.
It sounds amazing.
I know.
I'm just jealous. That is it.
Yeah, I want to be invited. Where's my letter?
Exactly.
I want to go. Anyway. So I guess Rhys, like, thinks to himself that, like, his father's approval still matters to him, which we kind of said already. And he said that the last time he tried to earn it, it cost him Vivienne.
What does that mean? Which we know what that means, because
we do know what that means.
His dad wanted him to marry someone, so clearly it's something to do with that.
Yeah. So I guess this need to have the approval of his father made him agree to go. So he's going back.
I also think that it would have been hard for him to say no. Like, his dad seems very, I don't know the right word, authoritative, maybe? So, like, he's not somebody that you can say no to.
Yeah. So he agrees to go. He goes back to the pub, and he tells his brother Wells everything about, like, I guess he's been keeping this to himself this whole time, but he tells his brother everything about his encounter with Vivi 9 years ago, and sort of like he's like he sort of expresses that, like, he doesn't think his dad understands what he's asking him to do. Like, he's not just asking him to go back and strengthen the ley lines and go to the Founders Day thing. Like, he's asking him to open a box that he had shut.
Yeah. But it's also because he didn't tell anybody anything. No. It's not like, how is his dad supposed to know what he's going through if it seems like he keeps a lot of stuff to himself.
But at the same time, his dad also doesn't seem like the type of dude where you would just be like, hey, like,
I can't go, my ex is there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So I guess his brother Wells asks, like, did you love this girl? And he sort of said yes. He said he may have had lovingly feelings.
Lovingly.
Yeah. So I don't know. Like, he doesn't straight out say that he loves her or loved her or whatever. Just that he had, like, maybe some lovey-ish feelings, which we both know means yes, but he's too prideful of a man to say so.
What is he, Darcy?
Mm-hmm. So his plan of attack is to get like in and out super fast, like go in the day before the Founders Day festival, that night strengthen the ley lines and get out the next day. Like he wants to be there 2 days tops.
Yeah.
So that's his plan of attack. Then we change to Vivi's POV. So I'm loving it. So she's a teacher, she's a professor at the college. And the very first scene that we get is her grading papers, and all of a sudden one of the papers starts screaming, and it's because she used magic to suss out like a cheater. And I love it so much.
I do too. It's amazing.
I want it so bad. Like so bad.
Yeah.
I just want it. I want to be able to do this. Someone teach me. So I guess we meet her, and she's got a friend at the school called Ezzy. She teaches human history. So like she teaches at the college that has the secret witchy campus, but she doesn't teach at the witchy campus. She teaches at the human side, and she teaches history, which sounds lovely.
Yeah.
She like I guess is walking home, and like she describes the town a lot, and like it seems very Hallmark movie-esque.
Yes.
Like they go all out for Halloween. So like think of how the Hallmark Christmas movies go all out for like they're in these picturesque towns where like everything is Christmas themed. It seems like it's that, but for Halloween. Which
is amazing. I would like if this place actually existed, I would go there because that's like my jam. That's what I want to do.
100%. I would be like, yes, let's go.
Yeah.
Because that sounds amazing. Very idyllic. So I guess she pops into her aunt's store. Her aunt, I guess, keeps asking her to quit and come work for her. And because the magic store is doing so well, like they've got online sales, they've got in-person sales, like apparently they're just doing good. But Vivi, she loves her job, she loves the campus, and like she loves just the feeling of stability and safety that the campus gives her, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess Gwyn is still in the picture. She works at the magic shop. They talk about her for a little bit. So there is a mayor named Jane. That's the mayor's name, Jane. And the mayor keeps asking her, like keeps texting her and stuff about stuff for Founders Day. And I guess Aunt Eileen sort of insinuates that it's because she has a crush on Gwyn and wants to sleep with her. And Gwyn's like, well, that's not true because we've already slept together. And I just love it. Yeah. And I like too how we've she's dropped this like same sex sort of, not quite a couple, but almost like a couple, but doesn't address it at all.
Yeah.
Like we get this little snippet and we might get one more, but like that's it. It's very like, this is just how it is. And I love it. Like I really like that that's how she's doing it. She's playing it well.
I agree.
So the mayor then texts Gwyn and tells her that they're sending a penhallow. And it's just like so ominous, like, ooh, a penhallow. And everyone's like, uh-oh, and sort of hoping that it's just not Rhys.
Yeah. Sin. Poor Rhys.
I know, but like at the same time, would you want to bump into your ex at the Founders Day celebration?
No.
No, you wouldn't.
I would not.
Yeah. So I guess Vivi and Gwyn decide to do a spell together to figure out if Rhys is coming, if like it's going to be Rhys coming or maybe one of the other penhallows. And it's not like really a spell. They just do some tarot cards. They talk briefly and they're like, we haven't actually done a spell together since senior year of college when they accidentally summoned an angry elemental spirit, and Vivi lost her eyebrows.
I can see why you'd stop doing spells with your cousin then.
Yeah. I feel like, again, we're mixing alcohol into this.
That's true.
Anyway, so I guess they break out the tarot cards, and it turns out that Gwyn painted them. She is a great artist. And
yeah, they sound cool.
I know, they do sound really cool. So Vivi sort of admires them, and she thought of how connected Gwyn was to magic and said, like, it was effortless for her. And she says that whenever she does a spell, it makes her pause and sort of like hold back. Like it seems like she's just holding something back. Whereas for Gwyn and Elaine, it's like magic was as easy as breathing.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I don't know, I half wonder if that's just due to the fact that she found out so much later in life.
Yeah. I feel like when I first read it, I was like, oh, this is going to come up. Like this,
Yeah.
Like they accidentally cursed him and she lost her magic because of it. Is like something that I thought was going to happen or something like that. So yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. I did think this was going to be a bigger plot point than it turned into, but anyway. So they use the tarot cards to predict, and they find out he is the one coming, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But Vivi's like, oh, I mean, I don't care. Like, doesn't bother me at all. And we're like, come on.
Yeah.
And Gwyn's just sort of looking at her like, come on, bitch, I know that you care.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, like, I've had 3 whole boyfriends since then. It's like, that's been 9 years. You've had 3 boyfriends in 9 years.
Well, maybe it was 3 years each, and they had very long relationships together.
I don't think that's true.
I don't either. But...
You're trying to give her the benefit of the doubt.
Yes, I
am. So she sort of thinks back to like the night that they've cursed him, and she sort of has to think to herself like, it's fine, like I didn't do anything, nothing happened, and blah blah blah. And she's just sort of talking her down and being like, oh, I'm probably not even gonna see him, and like it's not a big deal that he's coming, like it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, like, sure.
Yeah. What are we reading then? If you're not going to see each other. Yeah. But that's exactly what I would do if I found out that my ex was coming. I'd be like, oh, well, I guess I won't go to this thing and then I won't see him anyway.
Yeah. I'll just stay in my room for like the few days and hopefully that's it.
Yeah.
I'll miss him completely.
So we jump back to Rhys's point of view now, and he is not having fun during his travels. He mentions that there is such thing as traveling stones, but he doesn't like to use them just to piss off his father. So he's going from Wales to Georgia, which he apparently had a long ass flight, and then he had to find a rental car, and then obviously the driving is on the other side of the road, so it's not something that he's probably super used to. So I just don't know why he wouldn't just use a traveling stone. Like, I get that you want to spite your father, but like, wouldn't you also want to make your own life easier? Like,
but like, I get it because he actually does mention the traveling stones the first time we meet him too, about how he didn't use them to get around and like to get back to Wales. So like, I sort of get it, like for continental travel, like, but he's doing transcontinental, like he's going across continents, across the ocean. Like, it just seems like a whole kettle of fish I would not want to get into.
Yeah. Like, if I were going somewhere and going to stay there for a while and someone might notice that I was there and like I might have gotten there a weird way, then sure, I wouldn't use, like, I'd actually travel. Like, if I was going somewhere for weeks, months, whatever, But if you're only going for 2 days in and out, like snap your fingers, that's it, then why would you? Anyway, I feel like I would rather be lazy. But so that's all just normal travel hard stuff. But then once he gets to Graves Glen, his luck turns even worse. 5 seconds after the welcome sign, he gets a speeding ticket. And then halfway up the hill to his family home, he blows a tire. And I'm not a mechanic or anything, but I would have just driven with a busted tire up to the house. I wouldn't have gotten out. I do have tire and rim warranty on my car, so if I did ruin the rims, I could just bring it in and I have warranty on it. But I don't know. I don't think I would have, like, if it's dark, it's nighttime, I think I would have just been like, fuck it. I'm going to drive back anyway.
But I also think the difference too is, like, did he blow the tire out completely in that, like, is it drivable?
Yeah.
Like, sometimes if you lose a tire, like, if the whole thing explodes off the axle,
yeah,
you obviously can't drive it.
I don't think it was like that at first, but he does get out of the car, and he, obviously, if I had magic too, I probably would try to fix it with magic. But he tries to fix it, and it blows up to 2 times its normal size, and then it explodes. So I think it was kind of like just a flat in the first part, and then he tried to fix it with magic and exploded it, and now it's like he's completely fucked. Like, there's nothing left.
Yeah.
He says he tries to get the spare tire with his magic, and he ends up sending it spinning into the woods, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. Yeah.
He grabs his bag and gets ready to walk the half mile to the house, which isn't too bad. Like, a half mile, you can do that, I guess.
Yeah, it's not that far.
No. So then he hears a car approaching, and he thinks that, like, oh, good, my luck is changing. The car is going to come help me out, basically. But the car just, like, goes straight for him, and he ends up having to jump out of the way, and he ends up in the woods and is falling down a steep hill. And I just imagine him just rolling down the hill until he, like, hits a tree and stops.
Yeah.
He says that he ruins his leather jacket, like he heard it rip or something, which I think is very sad.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's a very hot leather jacket based on nothing really, but I'm sure it was.
His name is Rhys.
Exactly. So the person obviously in the car gets out because they noticed that they almost killed somebody, and is profusely apologizing. And obviously, of course, it's Vivian. I also took her name down as Vivian every time that I talked about her, not Vivi. So we'll see how it can.
I mean, you call her Vivian. I call her Vivi, and then also Vivienne.
Yeah.
Because her name is Enne, so that immediately triggers the French part of my brain. So I just call her Vivienne.
Yeah, but she's in the States.
I know. I can't help it.
I get it. So she starts climbing down the hill towards him because obviously she doesn't know it was him. And she says that she didn't see him until he jumped out of the way and her brakes locked up. Like, it's clearly some bad luck that the brakes stopped working. And she ends up tripping over him and hitting him in the nuts. And it's like, Jesus Christ, can his night get any worse? So she kind of apologizes again, and Rhys says no worries. And she immediately realizes it's him. And she I guess does a little magic spell and like gets a magic light in her hand so that she can see, because one would assume that if it wasn't a witch on the ground, she probably wouldn't do magic. Rhys can see her now. He's still lying down. But he kind of realizes that it wasn't just Summer and her being beautiful. he really does have feelings for her. And he also realizes, like, as she's kind of looking down on him, that she hasn't forgiven him. And because she does say if she knew it was him, she wouldn't have tried to slow down. So she's obviously surprised to see him and asks why he was in the middle of the road. And he obviously explains that he had a flat tire. And she's like, why didn't you just fix it with magic? But, he's clearly having a night. She explains that she was on the road because she went to her aunt's for supper. She wants to be like, A, I wasn't trying to kill you, and B, I didn't come around here wanting to see you, because like her aunt and his parents' house are on the same, like,
same.
It's kind of like a back, but it's like a backcountry road. It feels like, because I think it's like I imagine a dirt road type thing.
Yeah,
I don't think many people live out there. He asks her how her aunt is, and like she kind of cuts him off to stop the awkward small talk before it even starts. And I'm just thinking, like, he's still on the ground. Like, why doesn't he get up? Like, Rhys kind of thinks of the last time he saw her, and he's like, he was also lying down then, and she was standing over him. But obviously it's when he told her he had to go back to Wales to get out of the betrothal. Is that how you say that word? My God.
Yeah.
Okay. Like, kind of like you said before, and maybe my expectations are low, but like a summer fling at 19 and 20 where the guy doesn't live there, you really don't think it's going to last longer than the summer anyway.
Yeah. I do think, though, that like at the time, her especially, I think, got swept up in a lot. Like, she got swept up in the whole thing. And I mean, obviously, it never really goes into what she was thinking of for their future.
Yeah. Yeah, I just, kind of like you said, I just kind of find it like him being like, oh, I want to cancel it. I don't want to be with somebody else. I find that kind of like romantic and sweet.
Yeah.
I just don't, I don't know.
It seems like she was looking for a way, like the author was looking for something that would cause them to be separated, but not villainize him.
Yes. I think so too.
So like, what could it be? What can I do to break them up?
Yeah. I feel like if one of his siblings showed up and was like, you need to come home and marry this person, and then she was like, what? And then broke up with him, then I almost feel like that would be better.
Yeah.
But obviously, anyway, it's a bit light on the backstory of why 9 years later she's like, oh, I should have just run you over. Like, that's a brutal thing to say. And like, I don't know, I don't think I'd run over many of my exes.
I haven't run over any of mine.
Yeah. Rhys kind of thinks in his head that like betrothals with witches are super common. And at the time, he kind of had expected Vivian to be more understanding and to kind of know about them. But like we kind of said, she didn't know she was a witch. So obviously she wasn't very informed on the culture and that was actually a thing. Because I guess that's another thing too. Like at 19, if someone I was dating said that they were betrothed to somebody, I'd be like, what the fuck? Like, I would find that weird, but it would be different.
But I also like, it also seems like, is it also a geographical thing? Because you would think that she would have told Gwyn and her aunt everything. So like, if it was a commonality, like you would think that like amongst witches, you would think then that her aunt and Gwyn would be like, oh yeah, it's actually pretty common. Instead, like, you know what I mean? Like they would have explained it to her if it was common where they are. So I'm wondering if it's like, maybe it's not common in the US. Maybe it's common in Wales and wherever else.
I guess. But I feel like she acted so impulsively that, like, even if they did explain to her afterwards and they were like, oh yeah, that's common among witches because we want to keep witches marrying witches to keep power and whatnot, you'd think that, like, she wouldn't really be able to go back to him and be like, oh, they just explained everything to me. I take back throwing things at you and, like, yelling at you and breaking up with you. So,
yeah.
Anyway, they have a bit of sparring back and forth with words, and just to, like, keep it antagonistic, I think, like, it is kind of like an enemies to lovers trope, kind of lovers to enemies to lovers, like. So it's just trying to set the tone that they don't like each other. It very much reminds me of Hallmark movies when two people first meet and they're like, they have a misunderstanding, but now they're like, we're sworn enemies forever.
Yeah.
But anyway, while they're talking, Rhys almost makes her smile, and I thought that he convinced her to take him home. He does explain that he's there to strengthen the ley lines after all, and, like, that is helpful to all the witches in the area. So I thought that she agreed to take him home. But anyway, Rhys kind of thinks that, like, almost getting killed by a car aside, he's happy to see her, and he really did like her a lot back in the day.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I don't think I'd be happy to see someone that just ran me off the road, but who knows? So yes, she says that she'll give him a ride, and then she starts walking up the hill, and he doesn't move until he hears her get in the car and leave. And I just don't understand why he didn't just get up at the same time as her and walk up the hill and get in her car. She said, like, I don't know if I missed something. Is she, like, super speedy? Anyway.
I don't know.
He, I guess, finally gets up and tries to, like, make a little magic light of his own, kind of like she had made, but it doesn't work, and it shoots fire into the air and knocks a tree branch down.
Oh my God.
So it's clearly there's something going on with his magic. Like,
I wonder what it could be.
Right? But also, if everything with your magic keeps fucking up, maybe just stop using it for a second. Like, if you blow up a tire, if you throw your spare tire into the woods by accident, and then if this light goes up in the air and almost burns a forest down, maybe you should just stop for a second. But anyway.
Yeah.
So it also starts to rain on him, which is just like just his luck, because Vivian's gone. He's got to walk back up the hill to the road, and then half a mile to his family home. The next day at Something Wicked, Elaine and, which, like you said, is Elaine and Gwyn's shop. Mm-hmm. Vivian is telling Gwyn about her encounter, and Gwyn is kind of surprised that she just left Rhys there. Vivian has apparently told her this story, like, multiple times, and Gwyn says it's her favorite story, and she wants it at her wedding and funeral, which is, like, just kind of cute. And she's really kind of like the friend you need when you're doing a breakup.
Yeah, I do really like this Gwyn character.
Me too. Yeah. Vivian almost feels kind of guilty, but it's not like he was that far from his house, so she doesn't really feel that bad. And she's like, he's also, like, a super chill guy and really charming, so, like, he'll be fine. But, like, there's clearly still some physical chemistry between them, and you can, like, kind of see it anytime they think about each other, and, like, when they were interacting a bit, you could kind of tell.
Yeah.
The mayor shows up at the shop. So it's Jane Ellis, and she asks if either of them have seen Rhys. He's apparently due to check in for a speech because it's Founders Day. And Vivian just says that she saw him last night, And now she's just a little worried that like something came and attacked and ate him in the woods where she left him. So Gwyn offers to Jane that Vivian will go to look for Rhys, which I would be like, what the fuck, man? You can't do that to me.
Yeah.
But of course. So Founders Day, which is this day, is October 13th. And it must be a holiday there, or this is a weekend or something. Because, like, she's not in school profing and such. So I'm assuming it's maybe a holiday. But it basically kicks off the Halloween season. So Vivian plans to, like, help at the shop all day. There are people dressed up as Halloween witches outside. And like everybody from the town is basically in the streets. Vivian kind of thinks about how it used to be a bit of a somber day to commemorate the Penhallows' sacrifice in founding the town. But like many holidays, like that was kind of what it was in the past. And it's now become more so a celebration and more Halloween-y.
Yeah.
Griffith Penhallow did die his first year in Graves Glen, though, and they still believe his ghost is around. And the town is like really a tourist hotspot for Halloween.
Love it.
Me too. Like I said, I would definitely go.
Me too.
So she's obviously still looking for Rhys. She almost gives up hope finding him, but then she sees him in front of the coffee shop with a giant cup of coffee, which I'm like, my man. But his luck is clearly not changed, and he tells her it would be unsporting of her to try to kill him again. He's apparently looking super handsome in a button-up shirt and vest.
Not a surprise.
Right. He's just a handsome man. Vivian also notices his necklace is a silver pendant with a purple jewel. And she has a flashback to it dangling against her chest while they have sex.
Love it.
Right? You're like, it was a very torrid affair that they were having.
For a 19-year-old, yeah.
Yeah. So she basically like harshly escorts him to the welcome desk to check in. And he asks her if she was worried that he had died, which is like kind of dramatic. But she tells him like she's not really having it. She's just like, check in, make your speech, and leave. But he does remind her that he's also one of the main reasons he's there is to charge the ley lines. So as a reader, you obviously know he's going to have an issue doing that. And that's going to be like a reason for him to stay a little longer. But he asks her to come with him. And she's confused and asks if he means back to his home in Wales. And I'm like, that is quite the jump from like, you don't even want to talk to him right now to your like, to your house in Wales? You want me to come meet your family? Like, anyway, but he says, no, he meant to like charge the ley lines after the festival. Apparently only the Penhallows go there, and it's kind of like a sacred place. But back in the day, 9 years ago during their summer fling, he had promised her that he would take her there one night, but obviously didn't get a chance to. And Vivian kind of like feels like it's such an honor to get to go there that she says yes.
Terrible mistake.
Yeah, she is still a bit wary about it, but she's like, it's such a important spot for witches in Graves Glen that like she feels like she can't really say no. Rhys apparently gives a short and sweet speech, which is his words, and then as he's walking down off of the podium, the head of his ancestor, Griffith's, so like the head of the statue, comes flying at him. And I really feel like that could have killed him. Like, I know that's kind of the point, but
yeah,
that would be awful.
Yeah,
That would be so bad.
Oh, we invited this guy to come give a speech and then we killed him by accident.
Right? And it's your ancestor's head. That's some bad juju there.
Yeah, agreed.
The mayor apologizes and Rhys reassures her. But as he looks back at the statue, he starts to wonder at all the bad luck he's been having basically since he passed through the entryway to this town.
Yeah.
He walks into the family shop and Gwyn tells him that they're closed. And obviously they're not. It's the middle of the day. And then she says, well, we're closed to any of Vivi's exes, which, again, she's the friend you need.
Yeah. She's very good.
Yeah. Vivian walks out of the back and Rhys is dumbstruck by how pretty she is, of course.
Aww.
The only issue, and we're in his head, so he's saying the only issue being that he was an ass 9 years ago, and she may be the one who is responsible for his bad luck, since it started as soon as he entered Graves Glen.
So, the thing that I feel like we're noticing here is she is harboring a lot of, angry thoughts towards him, but they are not reciprocated at all. He holds, he is actually, in his mind, he's like, I get why she hates me. I'm taking that responsibility, but oh, she's so pretty. I like her so much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We can tell he still has feelings for her. And we can sort of tell it with her too, but she's actively trying to repel him and the feelings, whereas he's like, oh, come here, my little baby.
And you're so pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. So he asks if they have a scrying mirror, and Vivian says that there's one in the back, but he can't use it out in the main room of the store. Obviously, like you said, there's muggles around. There's non-magic, non-witchy people.
Yeah,
in this town.
They don't actually regularly refer to the non-magic people as muggles. This is just the name we're attributing to them.
Yes. So Rhys and Vivian go to the back room, and it sounds like a super cozy area, and I'm very jealous. It's nothing like a normal stock room. Rhys kind of makes an offhand comment about how his magic is kicking his ass lately, and Vivian asks what he means, and he explains the statue trying to kill him. And obviously she had tried to kill him last night, not intentionally, but so he wants to call his father to see if it's still a good idea to try and charge the ley lines when his magic is being kind of wonky and when he almost died twice in the last 12 hours, which I think is a really reasonable thing to do. Very smart, especially since it doesn't seem like him and his father have the best relationship. I just think it's a good idea for him to ask for help now. So she gives him the scrying mirror and asks how he can use it to communicate. And clearly this isn't a normal thing that you can use a scrying mirror for, because Vivian's never heard of it. Not that she knows everything about magic, but you'd think that she would know this.
You would think. Especially if there's one hanging around the shop.
Exactly. He tells her that she can stay and meet his father, but she refuses because of what she's heard of him and basically just leaves Rhys to his call. Rhys's father finds the thought of being cursed preposterous. Apparently, Penhallow men cannot be cursed, and he says, not by a hedge witch, which I think is a burn. I think they're being mean about the kind of witch that, or how much power they think that Vivian has or something. That's kind of the feeling that I got, but I didn't really understand it because
they didn't give us the terminology for a hedge witch, but I agree with you. The way he said it made it obviously not by a hedge witch, as if she's not as good as he is.
Yeah.
I wonder if they mean somebody who's sort of on the You know what I mean? Like, she's not super involved in society. She sort of stands apart from it. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah. We don't really know, but
Nope.
so his dad basically just tells him that he's there to do a job and he's got to charge the lines and then he can come home. So he really got no help there, which is obviously unfortunate.
Something we expected, though.
Yeah, of course. Vivian, on the other hand, goes to talk to Gwyn, and she's worried that they did curse Rhys, which I think is very smart on her part. Gwyn doesn't think it's possible. She thinks that Vivian is a little more worried than she should be, and she kind of says that Vivian and Rhys are still sparky, which we kind of just talked about, but it is a cute way to say it, I think.
Yeah.
Gwyn also thinks that Vivian wants to sleep with him, which, like, I think she does.
Yeah.
And Gwyn says that, like, the only one who should really be freaking out about the statue right now is Jane. And you kind of get the feeling that, like, Gwyn and Jane are still hanging out or dating or something.
Sleeping together. Having sex.
Yeah. All of the above, maybe. We don't really define the relationship.
Yeah.
Rhys comes back out to the main part of the shop and they make a plan, Rhys and Vivian, to meet at 6:30 that night to go and charge the lines. They're in Vivian's car later that night on their way to the ley lines. And kind of like you said earlier, there's really not a lot of filler. So there was, like, it really does jump from, like, make a plan to meet at 6:30. Now it is 6:30.
6:30.
Which I liked. But anyway, Vivian kind of wonders if, like, she's in over her head here. Like, this is going to be huge magic, and she only does small stuff. Sometimes she'll apparently go weeks without doing a spell at all. And, like, magic to charge ley lines, you can only assume it's going to be complete opposite of the kind of magic that she normally does.
Yeah.
She asks him what kind of magic it is, and he says it isn't really a lot. It's just a few words, some razzle dazzle, and then it's done. And it kind of seems like she's a bit disappointed with that answer.
Yeah.
He does ask her if she was a full potter, which he then explains that what he means by that being, like, did she only find out about magic when she was older?
Right.
And kind of like I think you said the exact same thing. Like, It was very Harry Potter-like, except for she was even older than he was. And so she agrees, but she says that, like, that's not a thing. Like, that's not a name. You can't just call people full Potter. He does ask if her mother was a witch too. And apparently she was, and she was good, but she rebelled against all things witchy, which is interesting. Vivian also tells him that she did end up doing magic accidentally as a child. She, like, floated herself some leaves that she wanted, and, like, her mother took her aside afterwards and told her that magic was dangerous and not to do it anymore. So there's, like, I felt like there was going to be more to this part of the story. And Vivian's obviously very sad thinking about her parents. So they end up getting to the cave now, and they park in front of it, and they can already feel the magic as they're, like, getting ready to enter. And, like, the cave is where the ley lines are. And that is where we end.
Yeah. So they're just about to go into the cave, and that's where we stop.
Exactly.
Because who doesn't love a good cliffhanger?
I know, it was a very convenient timing.
So what'd you think of this week?
I liked it. Like, we got the backstory pretty quick, and there wasn't a whole lot of time between all the backstory and them actually meeting. Like, we got a bit of time to meet both of them separately, which was nice. Like, we got a bit about her life and a bit about his life, but then they really are thrown into each other's paths like pretty early on, which I do like. Like, I wouldn't want to wait too long in the book for them to even meet up again. So
yeah,
definitely was a fan of that. And like you said, I do love that he obviously still has feelings for her, but she's just like trying not to have feelings for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just like we talked about how like this book is really quick to get through, and like we sort of like that there's no fillers, like, and the transitions are good. But like this is also contributing to the fact that it's like a decently short book. Short. Yeah. So like I don't know. I wonder if she could have added a little bit more detail to it to make it like a bit more substantial.
Yes. And there are certain things that I'm like, I feel like there's more to the story. And like there is a second book, which maybe there's I have no idea what the second book is about. And I do plan on reading it at some point, but I wonder if we'll get anything in that. But like there's little tidbits that you get, kind of like that story with her mother, that I'm like, I feel like there should be more backstory here. And I don't know if it's a seed that she's planting or if it's like, yeah.
Sorry. So I just looked it up because you said it. So the second book is called The Kiss Curse. And again, it's sort of pulling a Nora-ish thing. So it's Wells, Penhallow, and Gwyn.
And
it's their thing.
Ooh. How are they even going to meet? Are they all going to go on a trip?
I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't know. It sounds like it'll be good. I hope that Rhys and Vivi make an appearance.
Well, I'm sure they will, based on the ending of this book.
Yeah.
But yeah, that sounds interesting. I was kind of wondering like what kind of direction it would go in. I kind of had a feeling that it would be another couple, but I didn't know. I almost felt like hearing about the brothers, if it was going to be one of the brothers, I almost felt like it would be the other one. Yeah, the like adventure one.
The one who's in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. I felt like he would be more suited.
But we also don't have another female protagonist besides Aunt Eileen.
I know. I wonder if we're going to get a new one in the next book. Maybe someone's going to have a friend.
Could be.
I don't think Aunt Elaine's going to end up with the middle brother. Although, you never know.
Never know.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Weird mother and daughter dating brothers.
Ew.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is weird though.
Anyway.
Yeah, your mother would end up being your mother.
Sister-in-law?
And then you're also your sister-in-law. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess we're going to wrap it up there for this week. If you want to get in touch with us and share your thoughts on anything you heard in our episodes, or if you have any book suggestions, you can email us at coffeeandcoread@gmail.com. And be sure to check us out on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Coffee and Co-Read.
Next week, we're going to continue with the Ex Hex, and we're going to read chapters 9 to 17. So make sure to follow along. And if you're enjoying our little chats, don't forget to follow, rate, and review wherever you find our content. Thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll see you on the next page.